it's about a woman who comes to New York from unspecified origins, and she's very charming, and she takes New York's art scene by storm, and she has a mysterious past, and she meets a tech founder called Ariel, who is from the Midwest of America, and they're both kind of pretenders trying to find their way in New York.
Ariel just appealed to me right off the bat because I think he's a person we can all like imagine who that is. When you read, you know, his speech and the way he talks on the page, it really jumps out, and you know exactly who he is. Could be, you know, somewhere in between like a TED Talk guy, tech guy, could even be like a cult leader in a alternate universe. So yeah, I knew who he was straight away, and I really wanted to challenge myself to try and portray something like that.
I think when I first read the script, I was so intrigued by the play. I kind of was just like, I couldn't really see it, but I was so intrigued. I'd never read anything like it. So I was like, this is super original, so clever. And I think it really hits upon something that we all face and contemplate, or I certainly contemplate every day, which is sort of this existential doubt amidst the sort of absurdity of this social media world we live in.
A lot of lines, two people on stage constantly, and my first play, so I've never had to learn so much text. But that's the challenge, that's the beauty of it. Having the writer in the room, whatever you're doing, always helps, because they understand that, you know, it's one thing on the page, but you got to say it, and it's got to feel right for the words to come out. So yeah, having Joe there, who's an amazing writer, is really helpful. We can talk things through, and things become really malleable. A lot of the time of the year as an actor is spent just alone and absorbing and reading things. So to be working on something also like with people in the room is amazing.
Yeah, it is just two of them in the show, and I think going to see the other shows in the season, Walden and Juve, has been amazing, because it does demonstrate that even though it's a big space and a big room, it can be held by small groups of people. And I think it goes back to something very pure about theatre and about storytelling, and so much of the show is just storytelling in its purest sense. So when we went for a visit to the Pinter the other day and we sort of watched both of them on the stage, it is amazing how if the story is good and sort of tight and has a real drive to it, it can really hold the room.
It's been intense. Like, it gets to about like 3-4 p.m. and me and Nabhaan's brains is sort of like, I do feel like if my brain was a person, it would be like crawling to the finish line, because it's so like bogged down in itself. It's like, I think it's the most I've concentrated maybe ever. But the lines, the way Joe writes actually makes it really easy to learn the lines. I don't know how he's done that, couldn't tell you. But I sort of had half learnt it when we started rehearsal. We were meant to have learnt it all. And I picked it up really quickly and I was so surprised. But I also think that's because it's so fast and it has so much pace. And all the ideas, it's such clever writing because all the ideas link to one another. And I think you can really follow a character's train of thought, which makes it very easy as an actor to then learn and put across.
It was amazing hearing from Sonia Friedman Productions. I've been to so many of her shows before, and obviously she's the biggest show in town, and it's not something you think is going to happen, because you spend a long time writing for yourself and writing for small audiences and small stages, and there's only so many theatres in London, and they're quite oversubscribed by a set of writers that tend to get work. The director who worked on this play, Daniel Raggett, put this play in front of Sonia Friedman during the pandemic, and the first thing we heard was that she'd read the play from start to finish.
Every day I come in and I count myself lucky that I get to do this as a job, and that I get to be in a room with these creative people and make a piece of work. So it's that sense of, after so many have sacrificed so much, and also the theatre industry has been sidelined so frequently in many ways. It's incredible that the whole thing has sort of come together.
It feels really special to be, in a rehearsal room again, and the idea of putting something onto a room of people, actual living, breathing people, a live audience, sort of overwhelming. But I remember the first day we got here and all of us were in a room together, and Sonia Friedman was here, and she sort of like got us all to stand in a circle, and it was mad just like seeing all these faces, all these people who were here in this room to make this show that we've been talking about for so long.